right. Well,
Gotta get out of here. There.
we will help you. There we go.
Good morning.
Hello, Erica-Jayne. Hello. How are you this magical morning?
I'm good. How about you?
Very good.
What are you having
Enjoying
for breakfast?
Polish sausage with cheese.
Okay. Sounds good.
Well, it's quick and it's easy and it's simple and it works for me. It's most delicious.
Absolutely. I had oatmeal. It's
Ah, brilliant. I quite enjoy oatmeal. I haven't had some for a while, so yeah, I need to break that out again.
I
I
have
got tons
never
of it.
liked oatmeal.
What's that?
Yeah, I've never liked oatmeal, but I'm coming around to the idea.
Yeah. It's how you make it, there's a lot of variations. Some people make it a little bit firmer, some make it a little bit looser, so a lot of variation as to how you can make it.
True.
People put butter in it, have it with honey, all sorts of ways. So.
Yeah. It's true.
If you just think of it as a very basic food, and it's just like
Right.
bread.
True.
You have to just add a little bit. It's so basic that whatever you add to it can cover the flavor itself. So.
Right.
All right. Erica-Jayne.
Yeah.
Beena, they're working on the power in Beena's apartment there, so we may or may
Oh.
not see her. Yeah. So yeah, somebody's power meter caught fire, so they're changing it in
Oh
all of
gosh.
the. Yeah, they have a big apartment, very nice apartment in a
Yeah.
big apartment building. It's part of a big complex, so now it's a big rigmarole to do it all. Oh, what? See, we were just talking about you, Beena. I was just making your apologies to say, well, they're working on the power, and you might not be back, and then magically, yeah, Beena is. So fantastic.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. Good
Yes.
evening.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Morning.
Good evening.
Good hello. Good day. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Fantastic.
Okay.
All right. So.
Before we move on, sir, want to share something? I got my speakers, keyboard.
Wow. Wow. How did you get them?
I called my cousin and asked him, and he said, "Okay, what you want? Just send me details so I can see." And about headset, he said that you have to wait for a day. Maybe tomorrow I can arrange that. So.
What about the headset? You said the speakers, the keyboard, and the mouse. What about the headset?
Yes, tomorrow.
Oh, that's included in it. You just didn't mention it. All right, cool. All right. Brilliant. That's fantastic. That's good news.
Yes, finally.
And no laptop then as well, or not?
No, he was asking me that okay, for laptop you might have to come and see what you want and just check and see everything. So just come with me, and so I guess okay, maybe tomorrow.
Brilliant.
Finally, things are happening.
Erica-Jayne, but it's just energy management to get all this out the way so that we can give you full attention, right, Beena?
Oh yes, it was necessary because we were working for 3 days on this to
Yeah.
get all these things. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So
Dozens
please
of
carry on.
windows open. I still have a bunch of them open. All right. And in terms of yesterday's conversation, Erica, did we get resolution, or at least did you? No.
Yes. Sorry, I'm readjusting again for the 100th time. I was going to say.
I don't know what you were doing, but it seemed like fun.
Yeah. Well, it was a little wild. I was going to say how much I appreciate and am grateful for the conversation we had yesterday. I thought about it a lot throughout the day, and it really, really helped me come to a feeling of resolution, not just with that, but I mean, I think just in general, what we came to at the end yesterday, the application of the concept that
process.
if you are finding yourself in a position where you feel like you are having to make an impossible choice, that you're never going to have enough input on to make a true informed decision.
Yes.
All you have to do is step back and say, how can I make this into a choice that's possible for me?
Yes.
And so I was thinking about applying that same thing to like what I'm doing with the rest of my life for a career.
Yes.
I don't know. I have no way to see the future. I have no idea what's going to be the right thing for me. So I can choose to be open to any and all possibilities if they are right and appropriate. I can choose to trust that the right thing is going to make itself obvious to me when the time is right. There's lots of things that I can choose. I don't have to choose what the exact thing is that's going to happen.
Yes, and you don't have to choose indecision and stress.
Right. So that has made a huge difference. I thought about it all day yesterday. I shared that with Mom last night, and she really loved it and said that was helping her a lot with thinking about what she's doing with her life.
Look at that. Now, let me just zoom. Oh, sorry. Keep going.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, one of the things that I was really thinking about last night was, this just had me in the frame of mind to be thinking about choices. And so I was thinking about choices and intent and about choosing things for ourselves that we maybe don't things that we don't realize we're intending or choosing. And I was specifically, for some reason or another, when I was getting ready to go to bed, I was specifically thinking about sort of inappropriate application of goodness and misbeliefs and things. And I started to try to kind of think about what are some things that I have chosen for myself because I think that it's going to be right or good, even though it's kind of a false logic. And one of the things that really stood out for me was the idea of like suffering and struggling, that I think some people who, obviously myself included, but some people who are striving for goodness, trying to be good, think that in order to be good or to receive good things or whatever, that we have to suffer or struggle for them. It's like if we get it without having put forth any struggle, any suffering, any of that, that it's not, we're not like worthy of it.
You're
or
not
that
righteous.
It's somehow
Correct.
wrong.
Yes.
Right. Yes. And so I was really thinking about that, and I thought, okay, I need to change that in my, I need to specifically choose something else, and I need to set a different intent with that. That if I have chosen in the past to struggle and to suffer because I feel that I'm not worthy of receiving gifts unless I do, I don't have to. All I have to do is choose to not struggle. It's as simple as that. You don't have to struggle. You just have to choose not to. And so I was really thinking about that, and like specifically clearing out any intent that I may set to struggle in order to.
Fantastic. So let's get a little bit deep into the psychology on this. But before we do that, I want to just say thank you. What you did in our conversation, you didn't just take the specific solution. You went into the abstract, the overview conceptuality, and you extracted the process of what we were doing. So now you have this abstract tool with which to resolve any further problems in the future. And that extra step, going to that extra step, this is what makes all the difference. This is what we keep coming back to as part of Wave Impeccability, this abstract conceptuality, this overview perspective. You will say we're not locked into specifics. Beena, I was just saying thank you to Erica-Jayne for what she did, which was to take the deeper process of what we were doing yesterday and extract this, and not just take away a solution for a particular problem. That's that's band-aiding. Yes, it does help, but you are not solving the deeper problem, which is what you went. You made that extra effort to look for the deeper problem. All of the tools of way of impeccability are mechanisms for solving any problem, really.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So this is huge what you did. Massive, 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 massive. And it is very exciting that you just did this automatically. Okay. Yeah, it's really beautiful. I'm glad.
Congratulations, because this
Guys,
is a
thank you.
huge deal. This is a huge deal.
Oh yeah, gives for me, this is a great joy, you know. Huh? This is just fabulous, fabulous. On that logic of the necessity to suffer.
Yes.
First of all, laziness is a natural condition. We have to understand this, right? Energy seeks to conserve itself. If you're a ball of energy floating out in the space somewhere and you spend some energy, you make yourself less.
Right.
Like, wow, that's suicide, right? So energy seeks to conserve itself. The only time you can spend energy is if it's an investment in some way, right?
Right. Yeah.
Otherwise, you're committing suicide,
Makes sense.
right? This is it. So we have to understand this first of all. So in the deeper psychology, we as children grow up and we don't want to do things and we feel lazy. And so when we get good things, we feel like that suffering or the struggle is a validation that, look, I'm not lazy. Look, I
Right.
can struggle, I can suffer. It's messed up logic, right? Okay.
Right.
So first of all, we understand this messed up logic. Secondly, we have to understand a deep, deep, deep societal conditioning that may even be deep in our brainstem by now. Feudal logic, right?
Mm-hmm.
From the feudal system. Man, you want to exploit the serfs, you make them feel like, well, the way they are good is to suffer.
Right.
That makes you good, right? So this whole concept of that you suffering now and you're going to get your rewards in the afterlife and all this, fantastically useful to the feudal lords. This is how they can manipulate and exploit you. So
Right.
no, I'm sorry, I'm not buying into your manipulation logic. So no, thank you. I don't want to be buying into feudal logic. No.
Yeah.
In the universe that we design, life is easy because it's all about play and fun and joy, and things come to you, and you know in terms of life being easy, I was just looking at this today. Beena saw a flower pot, a new design. It's porous, got little holes in it, and you put the water in, and it automatically adjusts the level of the water, the feed for the thing. So anyway, nice design. I said, oh, Beena, if you find where to buy it, I'll buy one. So I could use some plants in here. I don't have any. So Beena looked it up, and it was a Kickstarter project. So
Ah.
the project aim was 20,000. You want to guess how much
Mm-hmm.
is raised so far? And they've got, like, I don't know, 30 days left on the project. You want to guess how much has been raised so far?
100,000.
3 million.
Whoa.
Over 3 million.
That is insane.
Yeah. It is, and it's not uncommon. You've heard this plenty with Kickstarter projects. Once they catch the imagination and people think it's a good idea, they over donate to it, right? And this is the point in terms of life being easy. That's the point that I'm making as an abstract representation of things not working the way we think it does. Yeah, are people, and when you looked at their like the rewards thing, right? They essentially the first okay, you contribute, to give nothing, but if you paid 59, you get the discount on the 69 or 79. It was like $80 for the spot. It's like, come on, you can't
Mm-hmm.
sell the spot for $80. $8, yes, but not $80. It's a ceramic thing. So their rewards didn't even make any sense at all, right? And then they had the same for 59 and 69. It was the exact same reward, but nonetheless,
Yeah.
3 million. So I'm saying things don't work the way we think it does. And
True.
when things are right and you're in flow and in harmony, you get stuff like this happening. So just pretty amazing. And the point I wanted to make is that, even in these times, there are people who are willing to give away money just to help a good project.
Right. True.
It's astonishing, really, when you think of it, yeah?
Yeah, that is true.
And that's a considerable number of people.
Yes, it is.
In their contributions went up to like 120 something, way. No, it's still it's a lot of people that are contributing to. It's not just
Yeah.
a few. So really profound, to make one realize that there's a different world out there to the one that we live in, and we don't always connect to that world. And
True.
the world in terms of this, things being easy and simple. There's no need for struggle. It's all about attunement and sensibility and intent and our beliefs in terms of how we shape the world and stuff like that. So it's very important to pay attention to stuff like this, right? To restructure our underlying conception of how the world works. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Hello and chocolate pudding. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Magical essentials in the world, well, at least for me.
Yeah.
So this is really beautiful, and so this, the fact that you not only resolved on this issue, but that you have a tool for resolution on similar things, and now also they don't become issues. They just okay. I'll just resolve it. Nothing is an issue that
Right.
can't be resolved. Yeah, that's the other exciting part of what you did, right? You've just transformed to say, look, if I've got an issue, it's on me. I'm simply not applying my tools. That's all, right?
Right. Right.
So
Absolutely.
in that abstracting the underlying methodology, you also now took responsibility for your own stress.
Right.
Not just
Right.
responsibility for your life. It's one thing to say, okay, I'm responsible, and say, oh well, I'm willing to live with stress in my life because, well, it's kind of a fact of life. You can't avoid it, blah blah. But now you're saying, no, if I'm feeling stressed, it's on me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
You know,
Absolutely.
how cool is that, Erica?
It is.
I mean, that's a profound shift, yeah.
It is. It gives
And
you.
that's again, Erica empowered.
I agree. Yeah.
That that Monica was not idly come by. I gotta tell you, not at all. There's a lot to that. I just like to celebrate it. It's like
Yes.
a very powerful
I,
thing,
yeah.
very magical thing. So very, very
Very
magical.
fitting.
I mean, truly. And it's not Erica to be empowered. Wasn't the
Right.
future tense thing, right?
Right.
I saw Erica empowered. All we're doing now is just claiming it deliberately and
Mm-hmm.
being aware of why it is that you are empowered.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense.
What a thing! What a thing! What a joy to celebrate! I can't tell you how happy I am to know you.
Well, I agree. Same.
Oh, good.
And to
Yeah,
connect. Well,
you're happy to know yourself. Excellent, excellent.
I'm happy to know myself. Yes.
Yes.
I am happy to know you. I'm happy to know Beena.
All right, very good. Yes, yes. I'm most happy to know Beena also. Yes, yes, yes. Beena's a magical being as well, and this is a big deal to me. To be connected to magical people, this is a very big deal. So very exciting. All right, so mm, I'm just like blown away. Just when things like this, it seems
So
such a small thing, but it's huge. It's huge. Yes, Beena.
that this laziness and perspective you shared about
Mm-hmm.
this laziness and energy saving, I think that it needs to be in being at peace with our
Yeah,
own selves,
yeah, yeah,
because this is a huge deal.
yeah,
That's why we always be in a stress that we have to do things,
yeah,
Right.
and just by this perspective, that
yeah.
yes, laziness is can have another perspective,
Oh yeah,
Right.
could be the foundation of peace
yeah,
and being with
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
It's very engaging
I
to
agree.
me. I'll just
So add
continue
it
to
to our
think.
list of topics for the Mourners Project, please, Beena.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Laziness, yeah. So the key is that we need to be appropriately lazy.
Mm-hmm.
This is essential. So it's about efficient energy management. Impeccability is about being appropriately lazy. When you need to be lazy, be
Uh,
lazy. Don't be wasting your energy. That's your impeccability says no. You need to be. If you're not getting a return on your investment to your energy, you're just killing yourself. This is not a good idea. So, you need to be sensible when it comes to your thing. And a lot of people just do stuff because they think they should, and it drains them, and they literally end up killing themselves. They live their whole lives like that. Horrible. Nope, 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 not for me. Thank you very much. Nope. All right. So where were we when we left off yesterday? We were still on session 3, right?
Yeah, we didn't really make it through session 3.
We can take as long as we like. Look at the power of these digressions. I'm happy to do so because it was something that was necessary. Now, again, my focus always is not to solve the particular problem, but to communicate the problem-solving methodology. Yes, we used a specific example to go into that, but that's what you got out of it in the end. You found the mechanism for it, and this is I can't tell you how happy this makes me. This is a gift that you give to me and Beena. It's like, man, and in time you're gonna be see how you do this, for yourself and others, and vice versa. It's a magical thing. So very, very powerful, very humbling also. Yeah,
True.
very magical. What beautiful stuff. Yeah,
Um,
actually, I
let's
think
see.
I
Okay,
think it's
so
time for a virtual background change. I don't know why I did change this one earlier, but yeah, sometimes I just feel like I need to change them. So maybe I change them to suit my moods. I'm not sure. We'll see. Ah, yes, yes. I'm feeling kind of soft. There we go. There we go. Some bark. Hmm?
yeah, I like it. The
See?
bark in that one spot looks like a butterfly wing.
Oh, where?
Yeah, see, do you see it? Over your left
Kind of over there?
shoulder? Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. Brilliant.
Oh.
Brilliant.
Okay, so for session 3, I had pulled out, so this was the moment-to-moment doings of a spirit warrior. And I had pulled out some of or just kind of highlighted some of the moment-to-moment doings from the slides that really stood out to me. I appreciated all of them and definitely resonated with all of them, but there were some that really stood out to me as having been sort of important for me so far.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
And then,
Before you, sorry. I want to add something before you finish up, but then I want to add something before you start.
and I think we had gotten kind of partway through that when we were going through
We did.
it. And I also added some new ones specifically for, like, in the context of spirit dancer moment to moment doings. So we got through, I think, a handful.
We did. We did. We'll do more. All right. So as a moment to moment doing, this I feel is something absolutely essentially critical for everyone to do. However, you need to come to a point before you can do it. Right? What I'm going to say. And that is to take as a moment to moment doing, to deliberately and consciously shift the way you default feel. Right. So the default feel for some people, you can look and they have a default timidity, right? For instance, or they have a default kind of an aggression or an anger or whatever, or they just have a default nothingness, right? They don't really have a feel. They just feel whatever the circumstances makes them feel, right? So as a default, they sort of numb, as it were, or not really feeling anything in particular. So we can have default happiness. We can have many defaults, right? But to deliberately say, you know what? I need to shift this to claim who I am more fully. Who you are now. You've always been Erica empowered, but now you can feel Erica empowered because you are conscious and deliberately aware of what it is that comprises your empoweredness. Right? So this is a huge shift. Now that you have all of this in place, and you say, I have acquired this, I understand this, I know this, I've proven this, I get this, I have tools. Now I can feel that I'm a different person.
Right.
If we don't make this effort on a moment to moment basis to shift, to say, ooh, I'm no longer who I used to be. I'm a different person, and I need to feel different in order to fully claim my differentness, my newness,
Right.
my evolution as a person. Yes?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Because otherwise you will have changed internally and nobody else will recognize this, and you're going to get this discordance between what you are inside and what others perceive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when you feel it, you claim it, you own it in that feeling way, and the claiming of it in a very conscious, deliberate way. You
Right.
shift your entire conceptuality of self, and now you are putting out a whole different being, and you are claiming responsibility for it. Now, this is a tricky thing. Yes, it is powerful to do, particularly in with friends and family, because otherwise you're gonna really be at a discordance.
Right.
However, it is also something that requires strategy and care
Mm-hmm.
and nuance and diplomacy and sophistication, because if we don't do this strategically and sensibly, we can also get pushback and we can be out of whack with things. So we have to be very cautious with this, right? And we do it deliberately but sensibly as well. So
Yeah.
it's a very big deal. It's a very big deal. Beena, how do you feel on this point? Because I feel the same thing that I'm saying, Erica-Jayne. I don't see you and I haven't seen you. So, all right, in a day or two's time, we're going to be seeing you. But I do feel that, in terms of how we appear to not just others, but especially to ourselves, this is very important. We have to shift this to say, hey, you know what? I'm not no longer the person to whom my previous ways of feeling are appropriate.
It is really important, and sometimes I was thinking about that how much it impacts our perspectives and thoughts, because if we are not comfortable with ourselves, and if we don't feel in complete alignment with what we are and what we look like also, it really affects us big time.
Yeah.
And okay, we'll share later that there are so many things I've been thinking about, and you know that it has been in my conversation also. It is a huge deal, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
It's
it's a massive deal. Yeah, yeah,
and okay, it's not for any religious purpose, but we have a saying in Quran that they say that, okay, just first fix I'm using the word fix, but it is not a fix actual, but it is just okay,
take
be
care of.
appropriate. Yeah, be appropriate uh, in your appearance and your actions, the intent, and your inner will automatically get aligned with. I'm not
Right.
really able to communicate it well, but it is something like that. And when you were sharing, I was thinking about that. That
Yeah.
it is an interconnected thing. It is an
Yes.
interconnected
Yes.
mechanism, and
Yes.
that
Yes.
your inner affects your outside, your appearance, and your appearance affects your inner.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is a very interesting idea.
Oh, it's very key. It's very key, and we'll this is a big part in when we do the nobility, the new nobility. It's this is a very very core integral part of their entire um, their way of being. So yeah, it's a big deal. So just in this in your case, Erica-Jayne, yes, you have a loveliness of being in an external experience, right? All of this, the usualness to that. However, that does not necessarily communicate empowerment
Right.
and being empowered. So unless you add this, people are not going to know. Say, hey, you know what? Yes, I might look nice and pretty and all that, but there's more to me than that. Don't just judge me by that. And then this is a big deal, because otherwise you are going to find yourself being able to do more, and really not just in a claim, as in a belief, but in an actuality. And you won't get that opportunity, or you have to fight for it, or you have to people. What are you doing here? Like, so no. You have to really change that. And this is an important thing. And it's even more important for the way you feel about yourself. Because if we don't shift and upgrade how we constantly feel, all of our learning becomes more of a theoretical thing. And even though you've proven it, it stays in the background. It doesn't come into the foreground as a daily use thing. So as a moment to moment doing, to change how you feel, to update, to claim your fullness, feeling, through feeling as a moment to moment doing. This is a very important doing. Yeah.
And sorry, Sil, to interrupt you, but
No problem.
I forgot to mention that in the beginning, when I was new in this way of compatibility,
Mhm.
I was deliberately making myself, you can say that I was trying to hide myself, my boldness, because I saw that my presence is quite intimidating for other, even for my mother. So it was a deal for me. So here I was deliberately making myself a bit, say
Yes.
that more or less, yes. And Silk got me. And he said, okay, Beena, why you do that? And
Yes.
it was a surprise for me. And I feel like, oh, someone just got me. And we had a long conversation about that. And the moment he said that Beena, you share some really profound perspective, but then you chuckle. And I was doing that. I was deliberately doing that because
Minimizing.
this is who I am from the childhood, and
Yeah.
my perspectives, my thoughts, my personality, and appearance, of course, was really intimidating for others, and I was not able to claim that more or less. So I was doing that for with Sil also, but he got it and he said, "Oh, Beena, no, this is what you're doing." And Donna, later on, Donna watched that video and Donna said, "Beena, I feel the shift in your voice suddenly when you said that, okay, yes, I'm doing that." And from that moment, for me, everything shifted. Yeah, we were discussing about that, how this mindset shift. It Yes, it could be that, okay, the moment I started assuming myself as a co-facilitator. No, I think that it started from that moment when Sil said it to me that, Beena, you need to claim your bonus. You need to be yourself. You don't need to exaggerate or minimize nothing. Just be yourself. And that moment was something that okay, now I own my, whoever I am. It could be, okay, my perspectives are my perspective. It could be totally wrong, foolish, stupid, or whatever. But okay, I share with complete honesty and with complete peace and relaxation as well.
Yes. Yes. This is
So
important.
this is, yeah, sorry, Sil. Again, this is what Sil actually did that to me. Really, the word was like, okay, Beena, why you do that? And I was like, oh, it was like you were hiding somewhere and someone just got you, and I was like red-handed. Really, it was like that. For a moment, I was like shocked that how
Yeah.
he got it, because I was not on video. Even at that time, I was not on video, but he
Mhm.
Yeah.
got it. Like, okay, Beena, why are you doing this? And from that moment, I said, okay, now if I am already caught red-handed, so okay, no more use to do that.
That's it. It's all over for you, girl. Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask both you and Erica-Jayne. Say, what do you at this point in your life have to apologize for as your being? Exactly.
Nothing.
Exactly. Absolutely nothing. There is nothing whatsoever to apologize for. So, to claim your own fullness is the only appropriate thing you can do, because otherwise you're going to be selling yourself short, right? And it's not just about external cueing and communication forget all of that. If you don't claim and feel your empoweredness, your sensibility, your sobriety, your sophistication, your moreness, if you don't feel it, then all of what you've learned is going to slowly, eventually dissipate and go away.
Mhm.
Because what you are going to be is going to be a function of what you feel.
But still, just to avoid potential possible confrontation or comparison and competitive mindset and all these things, can we be strategically, okay, trying
Absolutely.
to avoid
That's
that?
my point. What I feel internally as my moment to moment, as my day to day, as my default, this is my fullness. However, I come into a situation with others and I say, oh, it's not appropriate to share my fullness, fine, I limit it. You know, because again, I'm not my fullness at the funeral. I'm not laughing my head off like I can when I'm not there. So it's about appropriateness then. This is a different thing. But it's the default that I'm talking about. How we now connect and relate and as appropriate. This is a different deal. This is a matter of strategy, appropriateness, connectivity, attunement, etc. But it's that internal feeling. If we don't feel our fullness, then it's going to go away.
Okay, this is my personal stuff. I'm sharing. I can share with Erica also. That because I have, okay, we are 5 siblings. My elder brother, who's 5 years older than me, and then my sister. One is married, younger than me, 2 years, almost 2 years, yeah. And then 2 more. So
Younger than you, 2 more younger than you. You're
yes,
the middle one,
yes.
right? Yeah, like
I'm the second one in the order, and then I have 3 more.
the second one in order, or the third one?
I am the second one because first
Okay.
the father, then me, and then Mona, who is married and have kids, and then I am okay, kind of different, even with my siblings. Yes, I'm different.
Yeah.
I have different interests. I have different thoughts. I have different understandings, and they have different. So sometimes I feel that to be in that family setup, to be at peace with, not at peace, they're not going to confront because they are very understanding, very loving. But sometimes I feel that if I start sharing my things, the way I am might be a problem, not with my brother Farouk, but with my sisters. And so I have to sometimes I'm not, I do struggle with to talk about these mundane stuff now, but I do. So
Right.
it is part of my strategy. That I don't want to create any problem with that, and I don't want to lose that because we have a very special, very loving bond with we share. But it is part of my strategy that yes, sometimes I have to do. Still, you cannot completely hide yourself, but I do that. Though I was not feeling comfortable, even with my friends, I have to do that. I made some friends with totally opposite kind of interest and personalities. I just made them my friends, and I had my interest that I want to know that I was curious about that how in normal life things happen, and it was I shared with Sel that a whole lot of details about that. But even with my siblings in my family, sometimes they feel and I don't know why the comparison comes in and jumps in and they start feeding with that sort of. So that's why I have to hide. I don't share things with my family anymore as I
It's
am
appropriate.
really willing to.
Correct. As appropriate, right? But your own innate default feeling about how you feel about yourself, this is a different thing. This is a different thing, right, Beena?
Yes, you are right, and I feel that I need to accept and be more honest with myself.
Yes. And this is difficult. This is difficult when we've had a lifelong, persistent habit of minimizing ourselves and feeling like you have to be less in order to not stick out, in order to be safe, etc., etc. So yeah, this minimizing habit, this is a big deal, Yeah.
Just fit in, trying to fit in. Oh my God, the whole life was like that. The whole life theme was like that. Trying to fit in, be normal, be not like okay weirdo and all these things.
Yeah.
But okay, I'm trying to. But even just accepting inside that okay, yes, this is who I am. Somehow it becomes so innate with us to okay, no, Veena, you cannot be like this. And I feel that I am some of my personality, some of my mind is still part of my mind is still clinging to that old pattern.
Right.
Yes, it is.
Big deal. Big deal. All right.
Yeah.
Erica-Jayne, do you see something else that happens?
Hmm.
You have an effect. You have a facilitating effect. Right, Beena?
Yes.
Same with
Yes.
Beena. Beena has the same thing. when we start to really connect to ourselves and all of this, all of our tools, all of this moreness, and we claim our power, this is an empowering thing for others, not because you are trying to do it, but because they see it, they feel it, and it stimulates things in them, and you become a facilitator, not through action, but through being.
Mm-hmm.
You become
Yeah.
a facilitator. It happens naturally and automatically. It's quite something. It's quite something. It's quite something to be aware of. Yep. Very exciting. All right, Beena, that's it. I mean, I don't want to move if there was more on this point, because it's a huge point. It's a huge point. Yeah.
And really, I'm feeling good, and you made me feel comfortable enough to share with you, Erica.
Yes. It's important. Erica's openness is a big deal here, and
It is really important, and it is really valuable for me that a
very,
person actually just make me comfortable enough to share my stuff.
Right.
very important.
It's true.
Very important.
It's true.
Very important. Yeah. And it's when there is a perception of that the person that you are sharing with is going to be able to perceive what you are sharing.
Right.
You
True.
can't share everything with everybody because they're not in that space.
Right.
So they don't realize this, and they've never been there. And it's like, what the hell on earth are you talking about? I never was in a position where just who I was intimidating to others.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what do you mean? It's just the reverse. So they don't. So and it's inappropriate. To share with everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah. So this is a very exciting thing. It's a very exciting thing. Very
I
exciting.
appreciate you both sharing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very cool. You look very thoughtful, Erica-Jayne. Very thoughtful. So I'm keen to hear what that is before we continue on this point of feeling yourself.
I definitely sympathize with what Beena is saying about um, not not claiming your moreness and hiding it not only from other people but from yourself. And I mean, it makes me think again about what I was thinking about last night about sort of forcing yourself, choosing to struggle because you
Yeah,
don't feel like you're worthy if you don't.
yeah,
You're just like,
yeah,
you choose to hide all of this stuff and not allow
yeah,
yourself to be fully yourself
yeah,
because it doesn't feel right somehow.
yeah,
It feels
yeah.
like, well, who am I? I can't go around saying, look at how awesome I am. That doesn't,
Right.
it's like you force yourself to hide that and to struggle
Yeah,
because it doesn't seem like it's okay to just say, no, this is just how I am. I don't have to try to be this way or that way. This is just me. Um, it's I don't even know how to describe it. I think when you realize from an early age that there's something more going on with
yeah,
yourself,
yeah,
it becomes this like
yeah.
burden almost of feeling like, well,
Right,
why me? What makes
right.
me so much better than anybody else? I don't want to feel better than other people.
Yeah,
Why I have to just tamp
yeah,
that down and try to fit in. Um, so there is something really empowering about realizing
yeah.
that you don't have to struggle in order to be
Exactly, exactly.
yourself.
All right. So let's zoom out a little bit and let's look at this from this super huge overall universal perspective. And particularly when we take this logic of the godling training, right? We are godlings in training, right? So if we accept this as a premise, you say, what is the key core lesson for a godling? Now, we are godlings now and we are in training because before they weren't in training, and way back when, you had all these gods running around and they caused all sorts of havoc and problems, right? Because they were undisciplined, they were unimpeccable, they were indulgent, they were just full of nonsense. So, okay, the universe said, nope, 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 sorry, we're not going to have that mess again. From now on, all godlings got to go through training first, all right? So wouldn't you say the key, absolute essential lesson for in a godling is the to learn how to deal with power.
For sure. Yeah.
This is the core lesson.
Yeah.
This is what makes you different from other beings, is that you have power, and it's
Right.
how you use this power.
Right.
And the absolute core lesson with power is to have it and not really want to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And when you do use it, to know it is a profound responsibility, and that the power doesn't really belong to you, you belong to power. So anytime you use power, you are kind of, enmeshing yourself into a relationship which is problematic and dicey and dangerous, etc. So you want to get to this point of using minimal power, right?
Right.
And having that freedom to do things without the necessity for power. However,
Right.
when you do use power, it's getting something for nothing, right?
Mm.
So we want to be on guard against the seduction of power to automatically just give us everything for nothing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right. Right.
Because otherwise you could say, well, I just use my power and I get everything. But then what do? Do you really learn to do things for yourself? Do you really acquire independence of being? No. So what has to come first? First has to come the discipline and the habit, and the deep ingrained habit to not default to wanting to get stuff for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Does this make sense so far?
It does. I mean, it's interesting because it seems like a really fine balance.
Exactly. It is. So stick with me. Let me just run through the whole thing, and then we come back to you. I mean, I want to make sure you're with me in the steps, because there's a couple more steps. I'm making the argument for the necessity of why we're in a circumstance that presses us and defaults onto us to have this built-in default conditioning, almost, that you have to struggle for things.
Right.
Okay? Because then we actually learn to make peace with us, and we actually learn how to make effort. We learn to make appropriate effort, and we learn and acquire things for ourselves. We develop a liking for developing and acquiring abilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And competencies and understandings, etc. We don't just rely on our power to solve it, because if you don't have this ability to figure things out, to understand, to really get it and figure things out, work, apply your abilities, you aren't going to be able to use your power appropriately, right? And then you get to be sloppy and limited, and now you become a slave to power instead of having power there for when you absolutely need it. And yes, it's useful for when you want to. And yes, okay, occasionally you're lazy and you just say, power, make my coffee for me. Okay. You can use your power appropriately. But we first have to start off with a default where learning is our default, where acquiring it for ourselves is our default, where we feel that if you're getting something for nothing, it's problematic, right? Because it is dangerous in the context of power, right? It's not so much of a problem when just when you're trying to make life easy and you're in a play paradigm and you say, well, you know what, I get what I want through play and it's fun for me. Different logic. Play is still premised on effort. Play is simply when we enjoy making effort for whatever objective we're getting, right?
Yeah.
Work by default is generally where we not so fun to do this. This is the difference between work and play, right? It's just the amount of pleasure you get for spending energy.
Right.
And you play, you enjoy it, and you work it on. So we want to shift this and say we still need to make that energy. Whereas if you are, as a God, if you know, the Godling training says you need to be out of this habit where you just default to using your power to get what you want.
Mm-hmm.
This is a dangerous, dangerous psychology. So if we look at the totality of what I'm saying, these mindsets that we've had, that now we are realizing, not so good. I need to unhook it. Yes, they are, but you need to come to it. You can't have it as a starting point, because as a default in us, it is valuable, right? When we now add this discernment to getting stuff for nothing, and that there needs to be a bit of struggle, we need to make effort, not necessarily struggle, right? So this discernment, this whole pressure, it's forcing us, again, like everything in life, you start off with something that kind of sort of works, but not really. In the refinement, you get to deliberately choose it and make it your own, right? So this whole psychology isn't good in its own, but when we refine it and fine tune it, we say, yes, we want to understand appropriate effort and the necessity for making appropriate effort, right? Because otherwise you get into a situation, like I said, where you rely on your power for everything, and this is a downhill slide into nowhere. So we need to be prepared to have power. Otherwise, power is going to just wipe you out, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so this is godling training. Yeah. So we don't want to throw this thing of, that you kind of need to struggle. It's not struggle. You kind of need to make effort, and you do. You do need to make effort, but appropriate effort, investment effort, joyful effort, which is play. See, so we're getting all of this out of it. How can I take that psychology that's in me and tweak it to be thoroughly, fully appropriate? Yes. How cool is that?
Absolutely.
How cool is that? Very, very exciting.
Sure. That makes sense.
Very exciting. Beena, did you get to hear Erica-Jayne play or not? I asked you yesterday, but I forget.
Yes, I was there.
Okay. I enjoyed that, Erica-Jayne. That was
It was
very
fun.
nice. That's very nice. There was a
So,
real refinement to that play. There was a very nice sensibility to it. That was very, very nice. That was something. I'm looking forward to more in time.
Me too.
Yeah. That's really, we heard you. We heard you. It's very cool. Very cool. All right. So what was the moment to moment, the next one there? So I'm sorry, on this point, just to recap, right? Or you recap a bit for me, Erica-Jayne, so that so that we see the sensibility of this, just so I can hear it back for myself.
So for me, it boils down to having this default view of needing to struggle and suffer in order to receive the benefit of something is a necessary experience in order to teach us not to abuse power.
Yes, exactly. Yes, and to tweak it and refine it to say it doesn't have to be struggle, but it does have to be effort. And we can transform that struggle through play, but we're still making effort, right? So when you struggle in a game, you like it. When you struggle at work, you don't.
Right.
So appropriate effort, appropriate struggle. Yes. Yeah. All right. Yes, it's all about learning to live with power. Correct. Correct. Yeah. To live appropriately with power. Yeah. Wow. Very exciting. Very, very exciting.
It definitely makes sense.
Yeah. And then how did you phrase as writing it down as a moment to moment doing? How do you write it down for yourself? The moment to moment doing of feeling your fullness. How did you write that?
How did I write that? There we go. Consciously, the moment to moment doing is to consciously shift your default feelings.
Yeah. To feeling your full self.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you don't mind, will you send that to me so that I can add it?
Sure. So okay, that would have been then to consciously shift to feeling your full self.
Yeah. As a default, if you really want to add that on there, if you want to be fully thorough. Yeah. Beena, anything while Erica-Jayne types?
Yeah.
I'm just asking, anything you want to share on this? The feeling your full self, as a default. Again, it's not that this is it's your default feeling, but then from the default you modify as appropriate. But it's what you are inside. It's how you relate to yourself. Because if we don't feel our full moreness, our moreness abilities will fall away just because you don't feel it. It seems inappropriate, right? You've got an moreness ability, but you're not feeling your moreness, so then that moreness ability is inappropriate relative to how you feel. And then you start to wash it out, you see? So it's very important. Very important. It's just the way the body works. Yeah. Oh, I meant the previous part of that too. That was just the end.
Oh, like the full.
The full one. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to add the whole thing. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's very cool. The entirety of it. Yeah.
Like that.
Let me see. The moment-to-moment doings of a spirit warrior are to consciously shift to feeling, yeah, yeah, your full self as, or theirs full self as a default. But yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I like that. Since we'll keep it personal, we'll leave it with you all. That's very nice. Thank you very much. Yes, yes, brilliant. All right.
Okay. Okay. All right, and I think I remember where we left off on.
Oh, if we repeat some, it's all good. These are important. These are very, very, very important. And really, this one that we just said now, it almost takes care of all of the others, right?
True. True.
There are so many, and it seems like there's kind of a lot of them, and it's overwhelming, but it doesn't matter. When we really understand these and you go over them every now and then, they remind us, and you keep doing it. And yes, we do a lot in every single moment, and this is what we have to realize,
Right.
that this is just our natural condition, that we do a tremendous amount of things in the moment. It's very powerful.
Yeah, that
very
one
cool.
of the one. There was one at the beginning of the slides that says to maintain a precise awareness of our self-conception and exact expression of self.
Correct. Correct.
That's
It's the same thing we're talking about now, but we're just adding the feeling onto it. So yeah, it's the same point. Same point. Yeah. Yeah, we were going backwards through them actually, I think.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And do you want to share your screen, or do you want me to share?
Either way, I'm adding the slide to your thing. So
okay.
I'll, as soon as I'm done adding, I want to find your pictures, but they're not loading, so slow here. See if I can add one of your pictures will work for this or not. We'll see. So then I'll share. Yeah. All right, here we are. Here we are. Okay. I think we used that already. Okay. Oh, that worked out nicely. All right. I shall share screen in a moment so you can see what I'm doing here. There we go. Okay. Beena, you happy with that?
Oh, it is beautiful. It's beautiful. I just love the picture. The code. Yeah. Perfect.
It's appropriate. It's appropriate. Yeah, yeah. Let's see if I can do this. Put it all in the unfocused spot. Yeah. Yeah, it's crowding that flower a little bit. So, all right, never mind. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, which slide are we on?
Let's see.
Well, I'm just gonna go back and see if I remember where we were more or less. So. Which one do you think we're on?
The last one I remember us doing, where did it go? Was, I think it was always learning and growing.
Yeah. Oh, this one, to maintain the precise awareness of our self-conception and exact expression of self. I kind of remember that one. Yeah, because that's the front. Yeah, so we're at the front now. Oh, maybe we didn't get that far then. All right, I don't know. So which one you said it was?
I think we were at always learning and growing.
With the horses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Claiming that's claiming our full ignorance and nincompooperies.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yes. That was so that's the next
one.
Yes, you are correct.
Okay.
And then the next one that I had was this one, to be fluid, flexible, and adaptable.
Yes.
It's
so key. It's so key. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then of course the next one, to consistently pay attention to our beliefs and choices, their validity and what they're based on.
Yeah. That's huge.
And for me, what they're based on is interchangeable with intent at that point. So
correct.
Intent.
And this is a nice tie in together to what we've been our theme for the day. Beliefs and choices. Those beliefs, this belief that we need to suffer, and that struggling needs to be a suffering. Struggling can be a joy. As in play, right? I play my games. I struggle like crazy, but I have fun doing it. So, yeah. Very, very powerful. Very, very powerful.
Let me get back up to my list. Okay. So, okay, this is related, but the next one that jumped out at me was to deliberately maintain a continuous awareness. Of what it is we're trying to do, both physically and in the abstract.
Exactly. This feeling, our fullness of being, this is maintaining that continuous awareness of what we're trying to do, physically and in the abstract.
Right.
If we don't feel it, then it's not going to lock in and solidify, and we won't claim it. It is absolutely essential to claim it. So this claiming it this is basically when people say you got to step up. Well, okay, this is stepping up in your way of being.
Right. Absolutely. That makes sense.
It's a little bit of awkwardness involved initially, because I'm not used to feeling moreness, but then I feel it and it feels a bit uncomfortable simply because I'm not used to. But then I say, well, I have to, because this is actually right and appropriate. And then when I do, then I get comfortable with it. So there is that initial bit of awkwardness, which is why stepping up has that implication of, it's something that's not easy to do or not comfortable to do. So, very important that we know that there's going to be this bit of discomfort. But to maintain this continuous awareness of what we're trying to do. In other words, I'm saying what we are trying to do is to be our fullness. So if we don't have this constant awareness in the feeling, then we're not going to be doing it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it's clarity of intent as well. This is completely and utterly clarity of intent.
Yeah.
What is it that I am constantly trying to do?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Very powerful. Very powerful. Hello, girl.
Yeah, that's a cool picture.
Yeah, I mean, the way she's looking at you, it's like, are you really doing this stuff? Are you for real? Are you like really, but without any criticalness to it, are you really doing this? Yeah, I don't know. She's just kind of like, to me, it's like a challenge almost in there, but in a very polite, very sophisticated way, right? To say, hey, are you actually doing this stuff? Are you continually aware of what it is?
Right.
So, very cool picture. Very cool picture.
Let's see. Well, I think the slide immediately previous to this relates for sure.
Yes. So feeling ourselves and experiencing ourselves slightly different, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. To experience ourselves is when you kind of zoom out and you become an observer to yourself, and and this is really fun, So like when I first called you Erica Empowered, yes, it was deliberate, but also at the same time I was experiencing myself saying that, and it's like, that's very cool. So
Right.
very fun.
Right.
It's very fun. Very fun.
Okay. Let's see.
There's a lot comes to us from deep within our recesses, that when it comes out, it is the way it comes out, it's as if we are experiencing it. And to be aware that, oh no, it is actually coming from inside of ourselves, but because there's so much in there that we're not always directly connected to it. So we need to learn to experience ourselves in order to utilize the fullness of ourselves.
Right.
Yeah, very important. Very important.
That makes sense. Let's see. All of these apply to what we've just been talking about. It's funny.
Yes. Isn't that something? Yep. To ask if our energy expenditure is warranted and justifiable. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. There we go. Yeah. To insist on feeling and appreciating our own magic. That one definitely applies to that.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, there's a whole bunch to skip over.
Let's see.
Oh, it must have been a previous one then, because I went forward. Are we going backwards or forwards?
It was, yeah, it was, she had some,
It's here. I skipped over it. To insist on feeling that. Yeah. This is the young man in his heart. Yeah, it comes from that story originally.
oh, yeah.
Yeah. But the gift of intent story, I used this in there. So, yeah.
The next one prior to that was one that definitely jumped out at me, to be deliberately deliberate.
Yeah.
For me, that's been just thinking about being deliberate in what you're doing.
Yeah. And it's feeling deliberately.
Right. It's such a simple thing on the surface, but it has a lot.
Yeah. That's why it's one of my absolute favorites, because it's so simple. And, just to be deliberately deliberate, it brings everything else into it.
Right.
Yeah. It's a gateway point, a white hole point. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the very first one is related to this one for sure, but this to me is such a profound and really powerful moment in doing it. If you are constantly deliberately keeping in mind what you're trying to achieve in terms of intent, then it's like your North Star, you are always kind of realigning yourself to the direction that you're trying to go in.
And look at this in terms of that feudal mindset, unhooking from this ingrained bred DNA serf mindset. A serf cannot have an intent.
Yeah.
You're going to do everything you can to weed this out.
Right.
Serfs with intent, no, they're dangerous. Is that tank getting the face?
Something flashing out of the corner of my eye, and I don't know what it was, but in another
that was a good face. That was a good face to give Tank there.
Yeah, this one
Yeah.
is new.
It's huge. It's huge. And
our minds wander. You can be thinking, this is my intent, and in a split second, your mind has wandered.
Yes.
That's why it's so important. This one specifically for me as a moment-to-moment doing.
Yes.
Deliberately,
yes.
Basically realigning yourself with your intent.
Yes.
It's amazing. We're not even aware of it, and within a split second, we're off on something else.
Yes. And what this does, when we do this, it leads to that focus of purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And it leads to deliberate living.
Right. Right.
We
True.
are being deliberate every moment we do this. And now you're deliberately applying and implementing your intent. Again, more deliberateness. So yes, as an apex white hole point again, absolutely. That's why it was the first one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
I love this. I'm not sure about the picture, but it's okay. I guess it's, it's godling in training.
Yeah.
We learn to be intenders, we become godlings.
Right.
Yeah, so there's your little temple to say, hey, you got to be there, for yourself. No, to be a godling doesn't mean that you're connected to all the nonsense of worship and stuff like that. No, that's superiority paradigm that led you astray in that whole logic, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And the other thing that you got to learn as a godling is that you aren't the master of the universe. The universe is.
Right. True.
Right. So in the greater story of the new nobility, the gods do come into play into it. So, yeah, yeah.
No, I like it.
And they realize they have a big comeuppance. They're very humble gods. They're basically learning from humans.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. Or some humans. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So where were yours that you made?
I'm trying to get this list. I keep doing this.
Mm.
Okay. So mine, for the moment to moment doings of a spirit dancer, I have, the first one is to be the vessel for the gifts I already possess and those I wish to receive.
Oh, say, will you please repeat again?
To be the vessel for the gifts I already possess and those I wish to receive.
That's exactly what we're talking about here. To consciously shift to feeling your full self as a default. This is how you make yourself the vessel for
Right.
what you already are and what you wish to receive.
Right.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And this, I was thinking, when I was thinking about dancing, I was thinking about
Mm,
how like real professional dancers, part of what they have to do is know how to do the dance.
yeah,
But part of it is to be physically in
yes,
a state of being
yeah,
where they're able,
yes,
if you
yes,
know how to go flipping across the floor and doing all this stuff, but if physically you are not in a state where you can actually do that, you don't have all of the pieces together. So
yeah, yeah,
we can have all of these skills and obtain all of these things, but if we're not in the state to really take advantage of them,
yeah,
then we're missing part of the equation.
exactly.
It's,
So,
and I mean, this of course is related to what Beena said, whenever that was several weeks ago, that concept of being the vessel, and that has stuck with me
yeah,
since. That
yeah,
it's not just about doing and learning. I mean, part of application is being able to apply, being in a state where
yes,
you can apply.
yes,
It's not
yes,
just you applying, it's
yes, yeah,
being able to
yeah,
apply.
yeah, yeah. So before you can dance, you have to feel the dance.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Before you can dance the dance, you have to feel the dance.
Right.
And before you can feel the dance, you have to put yourself in the space to feel the dance, to
Right.
be able to feel the dance.
True.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, very powerful. So will you send me that next one as
Yeah.
well? I'll add it to this one because they associated, right?
Yeah, I certainly can see that.
Yeah. I mean they completely linked. To be the vessel for the gifts I already possess and those I wish to receive. Yes. Yeah. So feeling it is how you make yourself that vessel, no?
True.
Yeah. Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Very exciting. Very exciting.
I guess I can do.
Very exciting.
I don't know what you're listening to, but I like the sound of it.
I'll tell you in a second. I listen to all sorts of magical music. I have a Pandora station which is very eclectic, and I spent
That is
thousands of hours of seeding it. So I'll send you a link to it, and you have to let it run. You have to let it run for at least a week to get its full range. Yeah. So Addison Groove Project.
Addison. I've never heard of them, but I'm gonna write it
That's
down.
why I like it. That's why I like it, because it's only seeded with stations, not songs. The way Pandora works, when you seed it with a song, it tends to limit things, and especially if you give thumbs up and thumbs down too, it makes it narrower and narrower, and you only hear that. But I seed it with only groups and artists, so it's broad, and this is very cool. Yeah.
I like it. I have a very eclectic taste.
Oh, good. Then you'll enjoy this. Now, if you know the way Pandora works, you know, when you send the station, the moment you start to thumbs up and thumbs down, you make it your own station. Right. But other than that, you'll just hear the full eclecticness of it. So, okay, Erica, you're just gonna have to be on a separate line this time. You know, I can put it up here too, but it seems more appropriate down here.
Right.
You know, just filling up that space kind of nicely. So.
If you want.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Well, we have space for 2 more then. So.
Yeah, I was gonna, if you want the beginning of that, there's the moment-to-moment doings of a
No,
spirit.
it's fine. You know, so yeah, we've already got it in the first one, and then to be the vessel. So yeah.
Okay, so the next one I had is the moment-to-moment doings of a spirit dancer are to practice via play.
Oh yeah. To practice, capital P practice. I'm assuming via play. Okay, that one I can just type. Yeah. Fantastic. Now we'll use this, right?
There you go.
The order don't matter so much. So we'll sneak you right in there now. Kind of tucking in there, in the comfort of it, and then we'll... Perfect. See? Brilliant. All right.
Okay, and then the next one, I was kind of struggling with how to word it, and I never did really come, I don't know that I really like the way it's worded, but the idea, the way I have it written right now is to constantly and consistently enforce habit replacement.
Hang on, you broke up a little bit. To constantly and consistently?
Constantly and consistently enforce habit replacement.
I think that's perfect just as it is.
Okay, I was trying to word the idea of being really deliberate with sort of simultaneously disrupting old habits and enforcing the new habit behavior, because that is certainly something that I'm having to catch myself doing on a moment-to-moment basis.
Yes. And your choice of words here, it's constantly and consistently. Enforce habit replacement. That enforce is very key. Yes, it is something that we have to enforce. Absolutely.
And I was about, in terms of dancing again, that especially with ballet, you're doing things with your body that it's not used to doing, and you're trying to enforce a new habit. You know, you're trying to say, stand a certain way, move in this way that is not natural, and that has traditionally not been a habit. And so you're sort of simultaneously trying to break those old habits of behavior and enforce a new one.
And enforce implies that overbending that is so absolutely necessary. Right.
Absolutely.
Is there another one?
Oh yes, I have many.
Oh, keep going.
Next one is the moment-to-moment doings of a spirit dancer are to find balance that is appropriate for me.
To find balance which is appropriate for me. Wow.
Mhm.
Okay. So I need to adapt something here, by the way.
Sure.
It's spirit dancer, not warrior. You sent me spirit dancer, but
No, well, I sent spirit warrior the very first time because
that's
we
what
were
I mean.
still
You
kind of
sent
talking.
spirit warrior is what I meant to say. Sorry. Yeah, yeah. Okay. But I think stanza is appropriate, right? Okay.
Yes,
So
I had spirit dancer on my own editions for sure.
yeah. So see, I want to utilize the spacing. Come on, Eric empowered. No, I want to go on 2 lines. So okay. I have to do this. Yeah. All right. Just I can sneak this one in down below. Yeah, you see. And then this one now is I got. This is the one that we just on now, which is
Two here. I'll send it.
oh, it wasn't that long, so I thought I could just type it. But
No, that's true. Oops.
either way
Yeah.
is good.
Find balance appropriate for me.
To find balance, which is this is a huge Erica-Jayne one specifically, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I love it. Love it. Love it. Okay, so all right. And you see how nice everything fits in the spacing now? Now we can make a new slide for the rest.
I like it.
Yeah. We've got a little bit of space here, but you know, the way the photo is taken, this looks like it doesn't belong to the picture. You know what I mean? So even though it does,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
all right. Well, we'll just reuse the picture again. So for the time being.
Okay. The next one I have is moment-to-moment doings of a spirit dancer are to make peace with not knowing and find joy in it.
Oh, wow. The moment-to-moment doings of a spirit warrior are, you know what? I think I'll put the colon in there for you, right?
True, that's how it is in the slides.
Right. And this was, say again, this one to what?
To make peace with not knowing and find joy in it.
Oh, come on, typing. I don't generally type this badly. Ah, make peace, not making male peace. Dang it. All right, there we go. To make peace with not knowing and find joy in it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's go back to the previous one. Put that colon in there. You know, then it applies to all of them. You know what I mean? So,
Absolutely.
all right. So that one's done. So we got, you know, I just left the old ones. I just duplicated the slides. So I'm just going to replace these as we go through. Yeah.
The next one was to dance with life.
To dance with life. Yes. That's one of my personal ones. Exactly. That in that wording as well. I love that we
I
to
remember.
now. Do you have it hyphenated or not?
I didn't, but I like the concept of that being a.
Yeah, a thing. Exactly. Okay. To dance with life. Period. Which means that the previous one did not have a period. This one either somehow. Huh. Okay. I love that. All right. Next one.
Okay. The next one is to attune to the rhythm of universal intent.
Mm. Wow. I like that. To attune to the Rhythm. Add the S, and it's one of your best hangman words. Absolutely. Rhythms. Fantastic. Hangs them every time. To attune to the rhythm of universal intent.
Yes.
You want another good one? Even better than that?
Yes.
My secrets I'm giving away here now. 12ths. Rhythms, it's one of those words that people have heard, and this next one, they get stuck every single time, and they always complain when they don't get it. But then you say, but I know you've heard this word. I guarantee you know it. No, call me. 12ths.
Oh,
The word 12ths. It is fantastic because when when you're sounding out hangman words, you know there's a rhythm to words, but you can't. It doesn't work, So yeah, 12ths is fantastic. So 12ths and rhythms, my two that hang you every time. So
That's true.
yeah.
Oh dear.
I like that you enjoy this. So shared there with Donna. She said she plays hangman with her grandchildren on a regular basis. So there you go. You're gonna be hangwoman champion now. Yeah.
Okay, the next one I have is to appreciate the power of perspective shifts and apply them appropriately.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Yes. To appreciate, right?
Appreciate the power
of perspective shifts, not shifting. Yes.
Right.
Perspective shifts
and apply them appropriately.
And apply them appropriately. You tell me on the capitals. That's just my default typing. Puts it in. Especially A's. I tend to default capitalize an A at the start of a word. So
I had capitalized power and appropriately, but
I like that you capitalize power. Yes. Oh, absolutely appropriately. I thought I had done that. So yeah, no, appropriately as that's like the chief one. So yeah.
And I was thinking about this one in relation to dance, perspective shifting in terms of seeing what's happening within the dance. Yeah, it can be a totally different experience if you're viewing a show from way up high versus way down at the
dance. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
The dancers, it can completely change everything. So when you, it's not only important to appreciate your own perspective shifts, but perspective shifts of other people.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Part of our skill of perspective shifting is to develop the habit of shifting into perspectives which are not necessarily needed. To get those bonus perspectives. When we do that, we find magic. Yeah. I'm tempted to put a comma in here behind appropriate.
Which where?
To find the balance, which is appropriate, comma, for me. It's just something that's for me. It's part of the sharing versus telling. It's never been a thing for you, but in some with others, shifting them out of a telling mode into a sharing mode. It's just to bring this for me into a deliberateness, so that you automatically say for me. So it just leverages that a little bit. So yeah. So you didn't have it. It's just not needed there, but it's kind of fun to put it in. But I don't know if it'll. What's that?
Yeah, I like it.
I don't think it's gonna fit. It's gonna change the. See, so it did change the when I have to change the box. So let's see. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. All right. It just was okay. So we have one more for the slide, which is this one.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, the next one I have is to trust in deliberate leaps.
To trust in deliberate what?
That's a hard word to say with all the stuff in my mouth. Leaps.
Ah, leaps. Oh, yes. Yes. To capital T, trust in deliberate dash leaps. I'm assuming that's what you mean.
Yes.
All right. All right. I like that concept of deliberate leaps being a thing.
Right.
They are. They are. Deliberate leaps is a huge thing.
And one of the things that I was thinking about, again, from the dancing perspective, that for someone who is leaping across the floor, there is risk involved in that, right?
Yes.
If you don't have trust in yourself,
Yes.
trust in your past experience, in your practice, in your effort, in other people around you, if you are not trusting fully, you wouldn't do it because
Exactly. And that trust is built on self-proof.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily mean that you've actually practiced that precise leap.
Right, absolutely.
Right? But you've practiced enough leaping to be able to extrapolate and say there's a high probability and I can trust in it. Absolutely. I trust my ability to leap. Yeah. Right? So this is why, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I just say this is why that where we said earlier to maintain an intent both physically and in the abstract.
Right.
This is the point. When we have that connectivity to the abstract, I'm trusting that I've self-proven that I can do this in general, and then I can apply it as specific, and I have that trust. But I've self-proven that I have the overall ability, and that's key. Yeah. So, Beena, on this point, is this what you the same point as your acrobat analogy that you use regularly? That when the acrobats are on the trapeze, they have to let go fully.
Yes.
Trust that they'll be caught.
Yes. In a way, yes.
Yeah, it's similar. It's the same concept. Yeah. Very exciting. Very, very, very exciting.
This one, for me, sort of has a double meaning because on the one hand, it can be to trust in deliberate leaps, as in the concept of a deliberate leap, to trust is appropriate, that it's going to be okay, that it's the right thing, but it's also to trust in deliberate leaps, as in while you are making a deliberate leap.
Yes.
While you are in a deliberate leap.
Yes. You're making Biella very happy. Biella loves multi-layering like this. Oh, she says, yes, we like multi-layering. Yes. Very exciting. Very exciting.
Okay. And the next one I have, this one, I kind of went back and forth on the wording in this one too, because I was trying to be careful to not infer something that I didn't mean. But I said to stumble with grace.
Oh.
And for me, this really is an embodiment of fortuitous mistakes and seeing the gift in everything.
Yeah.
That even when, because for me, one of the things that all of the ballet teachers stress over and over again is the audience is not going to know that you are making a mistake unless you make it obvious.
Unless you cue it to them, correct.
What you have to do does not matter if you are doing totally the wrong thing. Do it with a smile on your face and do it with grace, and no one is going to know. So if you make a mistake or you think that what you're doing is a mistake, if it's a perceived mistake, don't just fall down and go, I made this horrible mistake. Do it with grace. Stumble with grace.
Fantastic. I love it. That's very. I had an uncle who played for nationally famous band in South Africa, and he said when you're on stage, and you can get away with murder. It's amazing what you can do. And he showed me. We went to a live concert, and he kind of stopped playing. He said, nobody notices, or whatever. He would do stuff like that. So, like bass. For Chaluka, I don't know if you know the band or not, but you'll hear them on the Chaluka.
I don't think so.
Yeah, if you hear them, Johnny Clegg, I don't know if you listen to any South African music, he's well known. Anyway, we digress. So to stumble with grace, I love that. And I put capital S stumble there. I didn't mean to, but it just came automatically because you are meaning stumble in a monis. You're not meaning regular stumble.
I had stumble capitalized.
Yeah. In this case, stumble is just the early stages of learning. Where it's a little bit awkward still. So
I've struggled with wording this because to me, there is no real stumble, right? If that's what's happening, that's what's happening. But that if you are perceiving this as a stumble, don't just like domino and follow it. To do that, to recognize that it's not really a stumble, basically.
All right. So I'm not sure if you want me to put that in or not, but I put the single quotation marks around stumble.
Yeah.
That helps?
Okay.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. So the next one I had, and this was another one that I kind of struggled with how to word, and this was where I wound up, but it's open to interpretation.
Open to editing. All right, let's hear.
To trust in my past efforts, current capabilities, and future impeccability.
Oh, that sounds fabulous, right, as it is. So that one you can put in. It's longer, so that one you can put in that. Yeah, please.
And in this case, I hyphenated. I was trying to figure out how to get this across, but I ended up hyphenating past efforts because for me, that was really a concept. So.
Oh, I think this is fabulous. I think it's just fabulous. Beena, do you have any comments on this? Beena?
Yes, I'm here. I'm listening. Yes.
On this one, that Erica-Jayne says, to trust in my past efforts, current capabilities, and future impeccability.
This is perfect.
Yeah.
Even yes, the wording is perfect.
Yeah.
So, and I was thinking about that. So all you share, Erica, so far, all profound.
All magical. Absolutely. Yeah.
This one to me, I mean, for me, that whole concept is what self-trust is to me.
Yeah.
But from the perspective of dance, again, I mean, being able to get out and dance, to even attempt to dance in the traditional sense or to dance with life, you have to trust that what you've done in the past, all of your practicing has been deliberate, has been the right thing, has taught you, has prepared you. You have to trust that currently you are in the state that you need to be in to do what you need to do, and that in the future you are going to be able to continue down that path.
So, if you want to keep your thing consistent here, you can make current capabilities and future impeccability, all of them hyphenated.
True.
It's up to you.
Yeah, I am totally up for that.
And that's keeping the theme, you see, that you are saying these are conceptions. My future impeccability, this is a thing, so I guess now we have to capitalize them all, right?
Well, and I went back and forth on that. I had everything capitalized at one point.
I know it seems a lot, but we don't care. This is just for us. So what do we care? Because now I'm saying my current capabilities. These aren't just a casual biz. My current capabilities, by capitalizing it and making it into a thing, This is stuff I've worked at. I've deliberately put into things. My current capabilities are, according to my previous moment to moment, I'm maintaining an intent to
Right.
apply my current capabilities, to intend further capabilities. And my future impeccability, it forces me to be impeccable now. So, and I am leveraging this feature. It's huge. So yeah, too bad if it's too many capitals. We'll just treat it as a title.
I like it.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Okay, the next one I had was to feel with controlled abandon.
Yes, 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 yes. Or even to live with controlled abandon. Yes, yeah. But to feel, that's fantastic.
Feeling this one specifically for me, you know, we've talked about
Yeah.
that for me, emotion is a really slippery slope, and that I often don't feel that emotion is something that I can choose.
Yeah.
I didn't historically.
I gotcha. I gotcha. I gotcha. I gotcha.
Really
I gotcha.
feeling with controlled abandon. This idea that in every moment, you know, there's this balance of you don't want to completely control your feelings. There has to be a level of abandon there.
Exactly. Exactly. This is absolutely brilliant, and it's absolutely important. Yes, because so many people try to suppress their feelings, and it doesn't work. But when you learn to feel with controlled abandon, now you merge the two, and you get that appropriateness.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, thinking about this in terms of a dance or a performance, you want to feel the emotion and the music and the stuff that you're trying to communicate. But if you just go out there and whirl around all over the stage, it's not really the same as if, you know, you are feeling music, the experience, but it's a controlled.
So you take any of your great classic dancers, and you take somebody like, you know, a ballet fan, and you say, okay, Nureyev, or you know, whatever the name is, right? I just know his name offhand because I think he died recently.
Who was it?
No, he died a long time ago. I saw something about Rudolf Nureyev, something about his grave. I don't know. He just came up in, just something I saw. So anyway, his name is foremost. Anyway, it's Baryshnikov, I guess, but I think he was the sort of prototype first classic male Russian dancer that asked about. Anyway, so okay, if you were to take him and you talk to somebody in ballet and you said, oh, you know what, he's the epitome of controlled abandon. Oh yes, wow. And they would say, oh, that's a profound way to describe him, or any classic dancer, right? But that's what a great dancer is somebody who has mastered the ability to feel and be and apply controlled abandon, right? So fantastic. I love it. I can't wait till you are able to go back to ballet classes, by the way.
I know, me too.
All right, so by the way, in terms of this claiming the fullness of your being, and particularly to claim power, I don't know if your ballet teacher subscribes to the same logic, but Olivia's one, a very strict old school teacher, kind of a bit bossy and a bit disciplinary. But anyway, they said you have to be fully, totally, and utterly in charge as a ballet dancer. You own the stage, you own the audience, you own everything. I said, this is your starting point of operation. If you don't do that, then you're not really getting what the ballet is all about.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. You know, and they almost communicated. I don't know if they used the words, but if I was listening through Olivia, and, you know, I had a lot of practice and skill of doing this, to hear what somebody's saying through her, they almost were saying that you almost have to have a kind of a bit of arrogance.
Yeah.
Right.
One of my teachers has something along the very similar lines, that it's something about, in thinking about the way that you hold yourself, that dancers are always like looking up, and that it's not just about getting the right lines in your body, it's about communicating this kind of arrogant
but
feeling
it is a balanced arrogance.
Right.
It is the arrogance that isn't really an arrogance. And if we take arrogance out of it, we can say it is the claiming of power.
Right, right.
This is it. So you aren't actually being arrogant, but you are claiming more than what you have, and in a sense, right? And this is what you are communicating. You are communicating possibility, and you are communicating moreness, etc. So this is what you're doing. You're claiming your moreness right there. Now, some might see that as arrogance, but it's not really. And none of them really mean that you are claiming an arrogance. They just don't know how to express it, right?
Right.
Okay. So when we see this and understand this, it transforms everything that we're doing, right?
Absolutely.
Very, very, very exciting. All right, so just put these in. Sorry, I'm digressed here. I need to open a huge big bag of sugar because I ran out of sugar. So important task. So just put them in, and I'll add them to the slide. And
Oh, sure.
shouldn't take that long, but I want to. It's a big bag, and I have to open it really precisely so that because it's a 20-pound bag of sugar. So.
Wow.
yeah. I'm trying to, I went shopping, I don't know, a week or two ago, and so I want to not go shopping again.
I don't blame you. Yeah.
I'm set now for, I don't know, many months. So, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I like it. Strategic.
Okay. Next one I had was to set and communicate intent appropriately.
Oh, yes. That is huge. And this is what we, again, on our theme of feeling our fullness. This is precisely part of that again, right?
And I think this one was the one that made me, this was most closely related to the first one in the slides of deliberately and consciously maintaining intent or our connection to intent. This one and then the next one that I have are both related to that that first thing in the slides of importance of kind of not only setting your intent but communicating it to yourself.
Yes.
Constantly in the moment, every moment.
Yes. It's communicating not only to yourself, but of course to the world and to intent itself, to the universe.
Absolutely. Okay, and this next one is, like I said, is related. And this one, this is another one that I went around and around with how to word it.
And yet it comes out perfectly every time.
And this is another one that has sort of a double meaning, but it is to spot intent at every turn. And so where I was going with this, first of all, just from a very high level overview, the idea is to be looking for intent everywhere. Everything that you're perceiving, everything that you're doing, look for the intent.
In other words, to view the world, always to be viewing the world through the lens of intent.
Absolutely. Yes. But the second meaning here is in dance.
Yes. I was hoping.
Right? Spotting is an incredibly important concept when you are turning. And
sorry, what is the concept when you're turning? I couldn't hear the word.
It's called spotting.
Oh, spotting. Yes. Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah, I just couldn't hear it. It broke up right there. So spotting. Yeah.
You are supposed to find a spot and focus on that. Maintain eye contact with that spot for as long as possible. Yeah. Because when you're turning, it keeps you from getting dizzy. And so to me, thinking about applying this in a life perspective, if you are spotting intent, then it doesn't really matter where you're turning, if you're not even going in the same direction. If you are spotting intent, that keeps you from getting off track and falling over or
and getting dizzy. Exactly. In this case, abstract dizzy. Yeah.
And to me, this is really closely related to the concept of maintaining your connection to the surface.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
It
Wow.
doesn't really matter how far off you go, if you're spinning, whatever. If you know where the surface is, if you have intent, if you know exactly what the intent is and where it is, that will keep you connected.
Oh, fantastic. So what is the quote again?
To spot intent at every turn.
Yes, yes, yes. Capital S spot.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh, what magic. What magic. What magic. What magic. Yes, yes, yes. And in this case, spot has that double meaning, which I love. And anybody who's reading this who doesn't spot that this is the moment to moment doings of a spirit dancer. Well, sorry, you had your clue there.
Right.
You had your clue that spot means something different here.
Yeah. Okay. I'm getting to the end of this list. I don't know how
Oh, I don't care how long it takes. This is fantastic. This is
wound up,
important stuff.
but I'm getting close here. So
No worries. We're not in a hurry, Erica. We're never in a hurry.
This one is very simple, but it is to choose joy.
I don't know why you feel the need to apologize for it or to make a disclaimer on it.
Well, not apology, but just
Okay, I'm just checking.
one doesn't necessarily have any, doesn't have the nuance and the double meaning here. It's very simple. It's just.
But it has power. But it has power. If we're not moment to moment choosing joy, then what the hell are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely.
And if you think of those great dancers, I don't know, maybe you have others. I don't know for whatever reason, in South Africa, they never focused on the female Russian dancers. Why it is, I don't know. Yeah, it's very weird to me. So I only know the male names. I don't know any of the classic female dancers' names. So I'm assuming you do. Say again?
I don't really. I wasn't into dance when I was a kid, so I really don't know.
Now, but particularly with Baryshnikov, he's kind of came up a bit later than Nureyev. He's after Nureyev, and I remember kind of the talk and him. One of the things that he brought was this more obvious joy. Yes, there was joy in Nureyev, but it was a more sober joy, if I understand correctly. So anyway, it just made me think that the great dancers, they bring joy, but they bring it in different ways.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, it's true. That's very true.
There's joys in many different forms in life, right? But all of them, that makes them great is this absolute deep, profound connectivity to joy.
Absolutely.
Okay, so to set and communicate intent appropriately. Okay, so I think we've got 2 out of the 3 here. Yeah. That's a new one. So, okay, so I've got, I love these. So magical. Oh. Okay. To set and communicate intent appropriately. Very magical. All right. And then the next one here is, I'll get caught up in a second. To spot an intent. I'm going to put choose joy first, and then I'll use spot an intent on the next slide. Because to choose joy is a short one for that little spot there, right?
Right.
So I'll be strategic. Okay. All right. and then to spot intent at every turn. All right. Do you have more?
I do. I have
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
Okay, the next one is to be resolutely and unrelentingly positive.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So again, yeah, just keep popping them in there. You know, this makes such a difference. This makes such a difference when we acquire this as a habit. It enables us to extract the moreness and the goodness and out of things, even when it's not there. You know, yeah, very powerful. Very powerful.
Okay, next one I had was to, and this fits with our theme for today, to recognize and appreciate my personal power.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You know what I like about this previous one? To be resolutely and unrelentingly positive. I like that resolutely. Yeah, and it's the communication of the underlying intent.
Mm-hmm. And that was a really profound concept for me from the modules, was that idea of resolute positivity. That positive, we have to kind of think of positivity differently. There's many ways to be positive.
Yes, absolutely.
And when you're talking about being positive moment to moment, being resolutely positive moment to moment is absolutely appropriate.
Is this not deliberate living?
Absolutely.
Or to be, it's being deliberate again. So
being positive to the nth degree, being joyfully positive in every moment may not be appropriate, but being resolutely positive in every moment is always appropriate.
Nuance difference, but it's huge. Mm-hmm. It is very, very, very huge. So all right. So I wanna ask you something on this here. To recognize and appreciate and feel my personal power.
Yeah.
I can add that in.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. In terms of our theme of the day, right?
Right.
Okay. To recognize and appreciate and feel my personal power. Now, spell checker. This is Erica-Jayne spelling. She's American. She spells American. Leave her alone.
Okay. And I have two more, which I think should fit. I think we have two left.
No, we have one left, but we can squeeze in one here if they're short. So.
Okay.
I think this is one. No, is choose joy from the previous one? Yeah. So choose joy is this one. To stumble with grace. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the first one too. We haven't changed that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have two. Oh, perfect. Okay.
So the next one is to make the most of now.
Oh, that's it. Just to make the most of now.
To make the most of now.
I just sounded the way the cadence. I thought there was maybe more. To make the most of now.
Yep.
Fantastic. I like that.
And the last one I have is to dance for myself and enjoy it.
To dance for myself and enjoy. Do you need the it?
Either way, I'm good.
Right. I'm just it leverages that little bit of extra power, right? To dance for myself and enjoy.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I can put the it in, but
I like it. I like it the way it is.
Yeah. It's just the editor says, well, if you can avoid ending on whatever those things are, it just makes it a little bit more powerful, right? Absolutely. Oh, gotta do this way to get it in there. There we go. Oh, almost. There we go. All right, fantastic. To dance for myself and enjoy. What magic. Oh, I better stop screen. Okay, I can't see this. Oh, sorry. That's in time. That's in time.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.